Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm here with a friend Imhotep,
Hello.
who is also a fellow YouTuber, by the way. The link to his channel will be in the description. So today, I want to interview him about his experiences here in Denmark, especially as a light-skinned black man. So Imhotep, introduce yourself, sir.
Okay, so already got the name out of the way. I'm Imhotep. I was born and raised in London, and my parents came to London from Dominica, which is where they were born and raised, both of them. So my mother's father and her grandfather were both white. And as such, she's got a very fair complexion. And then my dad's complexion is just a little bit darker than Wacera's, so that's how I get mine. So that's pretty much the intro.
How long have you lived in Denmark for?
So I've been living here for 3 years. I came in 2016 to start my education and my degree.
Since coming to Denmark, actually since the first time you were here, what kind of impressions did you get in the beginning?
So like my first impression when I
Yeah,
came.
first
So like,
impression.
what it was kind of like was there was a couple culture shocks. So one of the things were that when you introduce yourself and you're meeting Danish people, sometimes they can hold eye contact for a little bit too long. So like, you shake your hands, you're like, oh hi, hello, and they're just there like this. Still watching you after. So that's how that can be. Another thing was like the thing with the traffic, driving on the wrong side of the road. Because I'm from England, so everyone drives on the left.
Yeah.
So over here is on the right hand side. And that shouldn't bother me because I'm not driving, but it's when you're crossing the road and you're looking the wrong way for traffic oncoming, it can be a bit of an issue. So that's something I had to get used to.
Yeah.
And then another thing that was quite interesting was how people can be quite chatty here, like just random people that you don't know. But they can also be quite blunt about it, and that's just how they are in Denmark here. So I was walking somewhere with a suitcase one day at the bus stop, and this old guy sees me having a suitcase. He said, "Oh, okay, are you traveling or something?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just coming here to study." He said, "Okay, so where are you from?" I told him, "Oh, I'm from England." And he stops me there, he's like, "Oh, no. You don't look like someone who comes from England." And I had to laugh. I said, "You're not wrong." So then I explained to him, where my parents are from and then how I'm there. He said, "Oh, okay." So then he continues, "So what are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm here to study."
Yeah.
"Okay, how long are you going to be here for?" Like he was really interrogating me.
Like,
But that's just, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like. But he was just joking, like he's just interested. That's just how they are. They're very blunt. There's no kind of maliciousness behind it. That's just how they are. One of the things I got used to. Another thing about first impression was language barriers and stuff. Like over here, a lot of people speak English, so that wasn't really much of a thing. However, when I think about how much kind of getting around in just general life here has changed since learning Danish, like to a conversational level, it's a lot different. Like people are a lot more receptive to you when you speak Danish, and it makes sense. We're in Denmark, so why not? And it's just easier getting around and stuff and talking to people in general. They're a lot less reluctant to talk to you. And then, however, that does bring me on to the conversational skills of things. It's one of the things where you have to lead the conversation all the way through, because they don't tend to have that kind of concept of like general interest in what you're saying. It's like if you mention something about your siblings, they're not going to ask you how many you have or if they're boy or girl or older or younger. They'll just be like, okay. So the conversation goes as far as you need it. So you have to be ready to push that. They have this expression called "de har nok i sig selv," and roughly translates to "they're sufficient in themselves." So that's where that kind of comes from. But yeah,
it's understandable. How has your race affected your experiences here? Like, what kind of encounters have you had?
So basically, being light-skinned here means my experiences with race are a bit different. Being racially ambiguous, meaning that people are not that quick to place me as a black person, means that they interact with me differently. However, like they will kind of acknowledge it by saying things to me that they see that pertains to black culture, like hip hop culture, via the internet that they've seen. So they'll come up to me and they'll be cringy, be like, "Oh, yo, what's up, man?" All this kind of stuff, and it's just like, I know that's not how you talk with your friends normally. Like, it's alright, you can just relax. But yeah, that's usually like how it kind of is in general.
How about any negative experiences that you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, that's fine.
What kind of experiences have you had?
Yeah, that's fine. So like I said, like sometimes earlier, people don't really place me as a black person because of the way I look. It's not that easy to see. So one thing that comes as a side effect of that is people feel more free to say racist things about black people and African people in general around me, because they feel like I'm not going to be offended by it because I'm not one. Do you know what I mean? So like for an example, there was one time I was working with a white Danish friend of mine. We were just working on a project. It was just me and him, and I was listening to some music. And at this point, I'd already had a few similar experiences like this. So like, as much as I wanted to listen to Afrobeats at that point in time, I just figured, okay, you know how this is gonna go, just move it. But I just said, you know what, I want to hear my thing, whatever. So I played my music, I left it, it was good. The first few songs, no comments. Then there was one song I was kind of singing in the words a little bit, and he started laughing, and he says to me, "Oh, you really like this nigga music, don't you?" And I was just like back in those times, I used to get really loud and aggressive to shut these kind of encounters down, and it usually worked. But now I'm a lot more calm and I slow things down and educate people about these situations, which is a lot more beneficial in the long run. Because like, you know, the use of the N-word here, sometimes because English isn't the main language, and there isn't that much of a population of black people here in Denmark to speak on it compared to places like America and the UK, the deeper connotations of the word don't really translate across when people from Denmark try to use it and stuff. So they don't really understand it. It's just seen as another bad word to use and like mess around with their friends. So they don't really understand it. But so like they don't always understand what they're saying. But like at the same time, like what that guy did, like he knew very well when and where it applied to use it in the derogative way. So like, it's like, you know, sometimes it's deliberate and sometimes, you know, they mean what they mean. But at the same time, there are issues where it's like, okay, I just didn't know kind of thing. So like, you know, if you ever have this kind of experience here, the best way to approach it is just to be calm and figure out which of the two it is. I even made actually a video talking about it, so maybe that'll be in the side part there or something.
I'll put it at the top somewhere.
So then, another thing that was kind of somewhat negative, just one of the things that you kind of get used to initially when you come here. Because I've been here for so long now, I'm already immune to it. But when I first came here, one thing that really stuck out was how much people stare. So like, just because Denmark there's not many black people, you know, when you go to a town, you know, usually it's all eyes on you.
Yeah.
So like, regardless of what you're wearing or anything, people are just watching you. And you know, they don't have this concept of, like I said earlier, where people have this thing of holding eye contact too long. They're not afraid, you know, to keep looking at you if you look back at them when you catch them staring. So you know, there's been times when I'll just be like, and they're just also like, I'm just like, okay. So yeah, that's just a thing. Something a bit more kind of charged was sometimes people can be quite socially obedient here, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But there was a situation one time when I was riding through the town centre with my friends towards the Danish centre to take our lessons. And we were already running a little bit late. Me and the friends that were going with, about 4 of them, other white guys, they were all ahead of me, I was at the back. And we were going through the high street. And at the time we didn't understand because there was a sign that has in Danish that we shouldn't be riding our bikes unless you get off and walk. But we couldn't understand it and we had somewhere to be. So we were just, and we had seen people all the time doing it. So we were just riding our bikes. So we're going through, do you know what I mean? Yeah. We're going through. And we went past the cafe, and outside this cafe there's a bunch of old people sitting down. And as we go past, nothing is being said, you know, the other guys are just going ahead. I go past now, and this old guy is there shouting things at me in Danish. I know he's doing it at me because I looked, and he's looking at me as he's saying it and stuff. And I don't know what he was saying because it was in Danish, but you know, I'm the only one out of all the 4 people, the other people who were white, committing the same crime. So like, it wasn't a coincidence. So you know, those kind of things happen.
That's lame.
Yeah, it is what it is. And another thing that it's not that big of a deal, but I don't like it. People touching my hair. So like, you know, I don't mind if people ask me because then I'll just be like, okay, no, I don't personally like it. But then you know, it's just like, it's just the hands, you know. It's weird. Like, I'm not a dog for you to come and pet. Like, it's weird. But yeah, there's that.
You're a human being with feelings.
Do you know what I mean? It's just weird to be like touching someone's body that you don't know. Like, I don't understand that. It's just, that's it. That's just how it is.
How about any positive experiences?
So yeah, there's been a good amount of those. Usually you get like a lot of curiosity and appreciation, like mainly pertaining to our hair. Because like that's one of the things that makes us stand out so much over here. So like, you know, people kind of, I've like my hairstyle is kind of very over here. Like for a long time I was doing waves with my hair. Sometimes I had like a long afro and things, and people are just interested and curious and asking questions. They like it, with that kind of stuff. Sometimes people will compliment like our skin complexion and stuff like that, and like of course again the hair. And other times people are just really interested that we come from another place. Because they kind of find it boring sometimes that everyone just comes, some people are just here, born and raised, but they like it. Like we come from outside sometimes, and you know, they have nice things to say. Oh, that's a really nice place. I've heard nice things about it. You know, they're really like just genuinely interested.
Nice.
And then you know, I have a church that I go to, and that was like one of the first kind of introductory kind of things that I had with Danish people on a regular basis. And you know, they were really welcoming to me. They made me feel welcome here, and like, although we had a little bit of a language barrier in the beginning, as I learned more and more Danish, like, you know, we both made more attempts, vice versa, to speak other languages to get to know each other better and things like that. And you know, it's even to the point now where they'll occasionally message me, or how you do, it's really nice. So like, yeah, that was how it was. And another thing that was positive out here, mainly just kind of intrinsically within the black community, is just the sense of community with us that are out here. Because there aren't that many of us here. So you know, when you see another black person walking down the road here in Denmark, you're just like, hey, is that yeah? It's like a big kind of thing, like, you know, stop.
Yeah.
You usually will stop on the street, talk to each
Yeah.
other. So where are you from? How long have you been here? Da-da-da. Like, it's a nice little kind of like a unity kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's actually how I met Wacera. Like, I just saw her walking somewhere, I came up to her, we started talking, and it was just, that was it. So like, yeah, like that's some of the nice things about here that I would say. Like, it's really, overall, it's a nice place to be. You know, there's a lot of good things. You know, healthcare is good. You know, job security, like once you got your education, all of that is good. Like, it's a really nice place to come to. The only thing is the language is very difficult. It has a lot of difficult pronunciations, and it can take a long time to get used to hearing it. But you know, once you've got that out of the way, like it's fairly nice.
Thank you very much, Imhotep, for
Very
coming
welcome.
on the channel and sharing about these personal experiences that you've had. It's really nice to come out and share these things, and especially for people that have no idea what it's like living in Denmark as someone of color. So yeah, thank you very much for what you shared. Yeah. Okay guys, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
See you.